Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Norat Bello, and if you're new here, I share content based on Canada's immigration pathways, tips, and everything in between to help you navigate your journey to Canada. And if you have already subscribed, hey, welcome back. You know, I've always got something interesting to share with you. Now with the year coming to an end, I've been thinking a lot about the highs and lows of immigration. It's exciting, yes, but let's be honest guys, when it comes to the cost, it's not for the faint-hearted. Have you ever sat and thought, I'm gonna immigrate? How hard can it be? Then you look at the cost and go, wait, am I trying to move to a new country or trying to buy a house? Trust me guys, I've been there and I know how overwhelming it can feel. And to make this even harder, the exchange rate and inflation aren't exactly our best friend right now. And depending on where you're from, converting your savings can make it feel like it's shrinking right before your eyes. So today, I want to help you navigate all of this. We'll talk about the big obvious costs and the hidden ones. And I will even share some tips to help you save money and plan smarter. So if you've been dreaming about starting fresh in a new country, then this video is for you. Let's get to it. Alright, so let's kick things off with the big ticket items. These are the items you expect to pay for, but still make your jaw drop when you see the total. The first one is the visa fees. So if you're applying for a work visa or student visa or permanent residency, just know that the fees are not cheap. For example, if you're planning to immigrate to Canada through the express entry system, you're looking at about $1,500 per person for the application of the permanent residency processing fee. And let me tell you, if you're moving as a family, you'll have to multiply the cost per dependent, and that is a lot. And don't forget about the biometric fees. These are about $85 per person for fingerprints and photos. It might not seem like a lot, but when you're applying for the whole family, the costs stack up real fast. For example, for a family of 4, your visa and a biometric fee could total up to $5,000 or more. And that's just one step. Okay, now let's move on to the language test. This is one of those costs that people tend to underestimate, even if you've been speaking English or French your whole life. Countries like Canada, Australia, and even the UK will still require that you take the language test for your language proficiency. Tests like IELTS or TOEFL usually cost around $200 to $300 per person. And here's the thing, these tests are not as simple as they sound. A lot of people don't pass the test on the first try, so you might have to take the test all over again and pay the fees all over again. And that's another extra cost. And if you're applying as a family, each adult who's part of the application, in most cases, might also need to write the language test. So that's another cost you might need to account for. Now next, let's talk about the flight fees. This one is so huge, especially if you're planning to travel with your family. Let's say you're trying to immigrate to Canada from a country like Nigeria or India. A one-way ticket could cost you anywhere from $800 to $1,500 per person. And this is depending on the time of the year that you're planning. Sometimes they're peak periods, sometimes they're not. So you have to choose the travel time carefully. Now imagine you're traveling with a family of 4. That's a minimum $3,200. Just for the flight. And that's before you even factor your extra luggage fee. Cause let's be real guys, you're not immigrating to a new country with just one suitcase. And speaking of luggage, let me tell you, oversized baggage fee are no joke at all. You'll want to budget extra for those, especially if you're bringing a lot of personal items with you. Most airlines know we're moving our whole lives and they take advantage of that. I've learned this one the hard way. Finally, let's talk about the initial housing costs. When you first arrive in a new country, you'll likely need to pay for a temporary accommodation while you get settled, right? Hotels, Airbnb, or even a short-term rental apartment could cost anywhere from $1,000 to $3,000 just for a few weeks. And once you find a permanent place to live, most landlords usually require that you pay for security deposit or even a 1-month rent upfront. And depending on when you're moving to, this could easily cost about $2,000 to $4,000 right away. So before you're even thinking of unpacking, housing can eat a significant chunk of your budget. Now let's talk about the sneaky cost, the one no one warns you about until you're already in the thick of it. First up is the document preparation. These include translation, notarization, and authentication fees. These are for those that your documents are not in English or French. So you're going to need to translate it to either of the language. And with these, you need the professional translations. And these can cost around $50 per page or more. And for a family, that's hundreds of dollars just to get your documents ready for submission. I mean, That's outrageous. And then we have the medical exams. Immigration medicals include x-rays, blood tests, and also general health check. And these can cost around $300 to $500 per person. Imagine doing that for a family. That's over $1,000 already. Let's not forget the settlement fund. Some countries require you have proof that you can support yourself by settling in. For Canada, that's about $13,000 for a single applicant, and that totals around, over $24,000 for a family of 4. The immigration officers are going to check your bank account. So guys, there's no way around this. Finally, let's talk about the exchange rate. These hurt the most. If your home currency isn't strong, converting your savings can make you feel like you're starting from the scratch. And this is really painful. A savings of $10,000 can be worth about $7,000 after conversion. And that's even before any fees. Okay guys, let's calm down. I'm so sorry if I sound like I'm making it seem like it's so difficult for you to embark upon your dream to immigrate to another country. But I just thought to make this video to make people know the reality and the costs, the eating cost and the real cost to immigration. So I'm sorry again if I'm putting the kind of fear in your heart, but let's move on. Okay, now let's switch gears a little and talk about something that is as important as the financial part of the immigration. And this is the emotional cost. It's real. Immigration isn't about packing your bags and moving to a new country. It's about leaving behind your loved ones and leaving behind your old life as you know it. And even when you're excited about the new opportunities ahead of you, the reality of what you're leaving behind can still hit you really hard. Now, the first obvious emotional cost is having to say goodbye to your loved ones, your families and friends. You might also miss big moments like birthdays, wedding party, or even everyday things. Things like catching up with the loved ones over a cup of coffee or tea. And there's also homesickness, which can come out of nowhere. One day you're fine and the next day you're craving your mom's cooking. Or simply missing how your hometown smells after it rains. I miss this one a lot. And aside that, there is the stress of starting over. Moving to a new country means figuring out everything from the scratch. How to find house, where to buy groceries, and even how to navigate the public transport system. This can be really tough. You might even have to start at a lower job level than you're used to, and this is simply for you to get your foot in the door. And honestly, guys, it's exhausting at times. There might be moments where you have to ask yourself, did I make the right decision at all? But here is what I want you to remember. Every challenge you overcome is a step closer to the life you've been dreaming of. The emotional cost is tough, but it's also where the biggest reward comes from. You are building resilience, independence, and a new life full of endless possibilities. And that's priceless. So, now let me ask you, is it worth it? Honestly, only you can answer this question. But let me give you some perspective here. First, think about what you are hoping to achieve by immigrating. Are you looking for a better job opportunity, a safer environment for your family, or maybe a brighter future for your kids? Immigration can be the best investment that you'll ever make. Yes, it's expensive upfront. And yes, it can be a lot of work. But the long-term rewards such as the financial stability, access to quality healthcare, and the higher quality of life makes it all worth it. Imagine your kids going to top-notch schools or living in a place where you don't have to worry about safety. Imagine being able to pursue a career that actually matches your skill and pays what you're worth. And that's what makes it worth it. Of course, there'll be moments of doubt, especially in the beginning when everything feels overwhelming. But every immigrant I've spoken to, and including myself, says the same thing. It's one of the hardest decisions that you'll ever make, but it's also one of the most rewarding ones. All right, enough with getting emotional here. Now let's talk about the next thing. So let's get real practical now. Let's talk about the tips to save money and plan smarter. The cost of immigration can be really overwhelming, but there are practical ways that you can, save money and plan smarter, while also making your immigration journey a little easier. Here are my top tips. Now, the first is for you to start saving early. Even if you're not sure of when you're moving, I want you to start putting money aside now, like right now. It's very important. When you save $50 today or $100 tomorrow, all of this money can add up real fast. Second tip is for you to watch the exchange rate. Keep an eye on money trend and convert your money when the rates are favorable. This could save you hundreds or even thousands of dollars. And the next is DIY, and this is do it yourself where you can. And this is about sometimes you get overwhelmed, you don't know what document to put together, you don't know how to assess your document, or you don't know what test to take to get your application put together before you put it on the portal or whatever stream you're coming to, Sometimes you get confused, and immigration consultant is what you want to use here. Immigration consultants are helpful, but they are also very, very expensive, which is why I suggest that you do it yourself. Many governments have free guides and online tools to walk you through the process step by step. All you have to do is go online, try to search for many help as much as possible. Peradventure, you get the right one. Do it yourself. Now, the fourth tip is to travel smart. Book your flight during the off-peak season and ensure to research the affordable shipping company so as to avoid paying for the extra bag luggages. And the next for you is to leverage on immigrant communities. These you can do by joining Facebook groups or forums. They are full of advice and resources that can save you money and a lot of stress. And the next tip is for you to look for scholarship and sponsorships. If you're a student or skilled worker, explore options for scholarship or relocation packages from your employers. And the last tip is for you to plan for inflation. Now, how can you do this? You need to build a cushion into your budget for higher living costs. And this is for especially if you are moving to a big city like Toronto. So by planning ahead and being strategic, you can save yourself a lot of stress and money. So guys, that's the end of today's video, and as the year comes to a close, I hope this video gives you a clearer picture of what you expect in your immigration journey in the new year. It's not easy and it's not cheap at all, but trust me guys, it's really worth it. If you found this video helpful, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. And I'd also love to hear from you. What's the one immigration cost that surprised you the most? Drop a comment below and let's chat. And until next time, keep dreaming, keep building, and keep planning the life that you want. And I'll see you again in my next video. Bye.